Welcome to the library, Mrs. Naranjo's third grade class. You each have a Chromebook or MacBook in front of you, but I would like you to keep them closed until otherwise directed. We are about to embark on a month-long unit. I've created a short 1-minute-long Powtoon video to introduce the unit, then we'll have a short discussion and practice researching together. Okay, now that we have watched the Powtoon video, can anyone tell me what is a legacy? It is more than just being famous. It's a way that we want to be remembered. A legacy is the story of your life, your accomplishments, and even your failures. The purpose of this unit is to learn about the legacy of famous Oklahomans and to identify what our own legacy will be. Go ahead and open your Chromebook laptop or MacBook and open the Chrome browser. Go ahead and log into your Google account so that you can access our Google Classroom. I have mine open already. This is what your first page should look like. The first thing you'll notice is the Classroom stream. The Legacy Project Google Doc can be accessed here. You will have a printed copy of this document to use for your own research. Go ahead and open the Legacy Project with me so that we can learn about the information that we need for our outline. Sorry, let's try that again. There we go. Okay, at the top of the page, you're going to go ahead and write your name. And the Oklahoman that you are going to research. As you begin to research, you're going to look for details that are either important, like their birth date, or interesting, like their accomplishments. You need to provide at least 3 details in each section of the notes. Now let's look at the first section under the bibliography information, which is birth and death. This section is pretty straightforward. Does anybody have any questions? Now what if the person we are researching is still alive? If they're still living, then that's exactly what you should write in this section. Perhaps you might share how old that person is now. The person's age at the time of their death could also be included in this section. Now, if you scroll down, the next section is family life. Does anyone have any ideas about the type of important and interesting facts that could be recorded in this section? Let's move on to the next section. Background. Again, I'd like some volunteers to share their ideas about the important and interesting facts that we could record here. The awards and accomplishments section is on the next page of the notes, if you keep scrolling. This is a place to include the remarkable things that the person accomplished. Okay, this next section is very important. This is for you to share your thoughts or find a good way of describing why this person is famous, why we remember them, what is their contribution. And then finally, the last section is the bibliography. This is the area where you will write down the resources you used for finding your information about the famous Oklahomans you researched. I have provided the references in all of the articles that are on our page that we're going to be using. You may copy and paste those into your bibliography. When you're writing these with your paper and pencil next week when you're doing your research, you can just write the name of the author and the article to help you remember, and you can go back and copy and paste later. Remember that if we don't attribute where we got our research or whose words we share, that is called what? Plagiarism. Do you guys remember that word? So we want to make sure that all of the pictures and all of the articles and information that we use are all attributed to the correct person. Now that we've reviewed the Legacy Project notes, let's actually practice doing some research. Go ahead and return to the Google Classroom and click the About link right here, that tab. Click the 3rd grade link, and that looks just like this. It will link us directly to the resources found on our library Learning Commons. click on Famous Oklahomans, and you'll see a list of 24 famous Oklahomans. You will get to choose your own person to research, but for today's purposes, we're going to research Will Rogers together. You'll notice I have 4 different articles. It's important that when we're doing research, we don't rely purely on one source of information. It's important to have varied information so that we can cover more than just what one person's opinion or ideas might provide. So let's start with the first link to Boys Quest cartoon. We're going to look at this cartoon and see if we can find some interesting information going back to our birth and death, family life, background, and so forth. Okay. So the first, actually I'm going to go ahead and split my screen. So I'm going to pause the video for just a minute. Okay, I've split our screen here so that our research article is on the right and our notes are on the left so that we can type and input this together. Okay, so when we look at our article, we'll notice at the top it says Will Rogers was born on a ranch in Oklahoma. Well, that definitely has to do with birth, so let's go ahead and put that in here. He was born on an Oklahoma ranch, and both of his parents were of Cherokee heritage. His father was even a Cherokee senator who helped write the state constitution. So since it talks about his family, let's go ahead and go down to family life right here, and let's type in that both parents had Cherokee heritage. You notice it's written by Andrew Wells right here. Okay, Will was taught at a young age how to use a lariat. Looking at this picture, can anyone tell me what you think a lariat might be? That's right, it's a rope used as a tool to work with Texas Longhorn cattle. He soon developed amazing skill with it. So if we wanted to put that in our notes, where might we put it? Maybe in background? So we could say skills with lariat. Okay, let's keep going. He ended his school career at the 10th grade. He left school to become a cowboy in a cattle drive. Well, I think that's pretty interesting. Let's put that he left school in the 10th grade. Now, we may find some things interesting now and then not find a place for it in our report later. It's better to have more details and then be able to be choosy when we're actually writing our report. Okay, let's keep going. He later regretted that he had not finished school, but he made sure that he never stopped learning. I figure there's 2 ways to learn, by reading and by talking to folks who are smarter than me. That's kind of funny. His roping skills became so advanced that he was eventually recognized in the Guinness Book of World Records for using 3 ropes at once. Ooh, that sounds like an accomplishment to me. Let's go ahead and write that down in our awards and accomplishment section. So my mouse is moving here. In the Guinness Book of World Records, 3 ropes at once. That's definitely interesting. His hard-earned skills won him jobs, trick roping in Wild West shows and vaudeville stages where he learned the practice of telling jokes as he performed. Letting the cat out of the bag is a whole lot easier than getting it back in. That's his joke. That's kind of funny. So maybe that could be part of his accomplishment too, is that he performed in Wild West shows. And he would tell jokes as well. Soon his wisecracks and folksy observations were more prized than his rope tricks. People who fly into a rage always make a bad landing. He's full of jokes. Rogers was also a prolific writer. Does anybody know what the word prolific means? It means a lot, some very large amounts. Most of his famous sayings can be found in his extensive writings. He wrote 6 books, 3,600 newspaper columns, and scores of magazine articles in the span of 16 years. Wow, That is definitely interesting. We could put that also in our accomplishment section. So 6 books, 3,600 newspaper columns, and he also talked on the radio. Let's go ahead and put radio on there. His warm and entertaining voice made him a natural for the radio. In 1918, he began acting in movies. Ultimately, he was to make 71 films. That's pretty interesting. Let's go ahead and put that as well. So he made 71 films or movies. Oh, I can spell. There we go. A chance meeting with pioneer aviator Wiley Post would lead Rogers to his final adventure. Post was planning an experimental flight. They planned to test the commercial viability of carrying goods from the U.S. to Asia by flying over Alaska and Siberia. Rogers tagged along. Upon takeoff from a small camp in Alaska, the small craft lost power and crashed into a nearby lagoon, killing both men instantly. It was to be his last great adventure, but his fame remains. This cowboy from Oklahoma, who followed his heart and developed his unique gifts, left a legacy of wisdom and wit. So where would we put his information about how he died? How about right up here in the first section? So we would say died in a plane crash in Alaska. And does anybody remember what the name of the person was that he was with? Wiley Post. He's another famous Oklahoman we can learn about. Now this sentence right here, this cowboy from Oklahoma who followed his heart and developed his unique gifts left a legacy of wisdom and wit. Hey, there's that word, legacy. If I wanted to remember exactly what this author said, I might choose to go ahead and write it as a quote. So I would do an opening quotation, and I would write, this cowboy from Oklahoma, oh, that's right, who followed his dream or his heart and developed his unique gifts, left a legacy of wisdom and wit. You guys get to see my typing skills, or lack thereof. There you go. Okay, so we finished that article. That wasn't too long. I like this one because it was a cartoon. It's kind of a good warm-up article. Let's go back to our original page here and see what other resources we have. He gave us some good information, but there's still quite a bit more we could have. Like, I think that the family section, there's not much there. So maybe if we find another article, we could fill in some of these blanks. Let's go to the Oklahoma Historical Society's encyclopedia right here. Now, if you scroll through, I'm going to expand this a little bit. If you scroll through this article, it seems a little long. In Chrome, there's a text-to-voice reader right here. If you click on it, it will actually start reading your page. And I can't show that because my screencast won't capture the audio, but you can go ahead and practice that now so you can get accustomed to what that sounds like. So go ahead, I'm going to pause the video and you go ahead and practice that. Excellent job finishing up our research. You'll notice the new information is highlighted in blue and that it really gave us a greater understanding of Will Rogers. The last thing we need to do is finish up our bibliography section. So let's go back to our original website. You only need the name of the author and the article, but I'm going to go ahead and copy all of it just so that we understand that all of the information is important and that you're going to include the entire reference when you get ready to do your final project, your legacy creation project. Let's copy and paste. And you have done a great job helping me do our research today. When we meet next time, you'll begin your own independent research of a famous Oklahoman of your choice.